Hello, I'm Sean McFadden. This is Sean McFadden's I Don't Get It. Once again, I don't get it. Okay, so I have a severely autistic son. Okay. I got a phone call from work on Friday because my son had attacked my wife. Leave work, go up to the hospital. I'm interested in calling. Okay. This is our umpteenth trip to the emergency room. And everybody's so sorry about what's happening. And, oh, we understand it's really hard and we're on the top of the waiting list. We've been on waiting list for 2 fucking years. 2 years we've been on waiting list. Now, 2 years ago, if we started dealing with the situation when we first got put on waiting lists, it wouldn't be this bad. My son's nonverbal. They would have helped him find ways to communicate. Um, I'm convinced that this child is in pain somehow. There's something hurting my son, which is why he's lashing out. He's attacking his mother. Okay. Now, when I'm home, it's a lot less, and I can actually direct him to attacking me as opposed to my wife. Not the ideal solution, but it saves my wife getting her ass kicked, so I'm down with that. Now, keep in mind, my 11-year-old autistic son can actually pick me up. I'm a 220-pound man. My 11-year-old son can lift me when he's, you know, freaking out, for lack of a better term. Now, I would love to put this solely on the conservative government, but I can't because we've been on waiting lists since the liberals. So, now, the liberals fucked things up. Okay. The conservatives made it a fuck of a lot worse because they pulled a lot of funding. So, of course, now all those agencies that were around to help with this stuff, well, they're all privatized now. So it's $25 to $35 an hour for somebody to come in and help with my son. I make $20 an hour. Do the math on that. That puts me $5 to $10 in the hole every hour of every day that somebody needs to be here. That means no money for food, no money for rent, no money for heat, no money for hydro, no money for fuck all. And I keep missing time at work because I've got to come home and deal with this. Now, my company has been absolutely great. I love the company that I work for this. I won't mention their name because we've got, non-disclosures and shit, but that's cool. I totally get that. But my company's been great. How long until my company has to stop being great? How long until, because of my situation, I've missed too much time at work? And as social workers have said to my wife, if I was beating the crap out of my wife, there would be help lined up 16 deep outside my door for her. If I was beating my son, there would be help lined up 16 deep outside my door to help my son and help my wife. But because we're a family unit, because I don't beat my wife or my child, because I love my family, we get no help. There is no help for us. Okay? So what's going to have to happen? Is my wife going to have to die? Is my son going to snap one day and push her down the stairs and break her neck? You know, is my son going to freak out one day and put his head through a fucking window and kill himself? There is no help in this country for the working poor. Okay? And it sickens me to have to say that making $20 an hour, I'm the working poor. But here we go. My wife cannot work. Her own medical issues aside, we have an autistic son. And as before mentioned, any care for him would be $5 to $10 an hour more than she makes. So it'd be an extra $5 to $10 an hour out of our budget beyond what she makes working. We have one income. We have no family that can do this. We have no help. I'm sorry that I don't make the 400 grand a year to make this possible. I really am. I apologize to all of you highfalutin politicians out there that I'm one of those dirty poor people that you don't like to deal with. But let me break this down for you financially. Let's look at balancing your fucking books, shall we? Okay, we've been to the emergency room probably 15 times this year. That's this many, okay? Now, what does the average emergency room visit cost the government of Ontario? Probably a lot, right? You've got nurses, you've got doctors. Half the time you need security, so you've got a couple security guards there too. So, as opposed to putting 30 or $40,000 into a, you know, stuff to help out with the autism, you're putting what, 150 grand in dealing with my son at the emergency room? That doesn't make much financial sense, does it? Now, I truly wish that I made the 400 grand a year that I need to deal with my son. I really do. But, we've been on waiting lists for years. And I'm really scared that those waiting lists are going to end with my wife's death. We need help from somewhere. If anybody out there knows of anything that can help us with this situation, please, please contact us. Like, what has to happen to change this? Does somebody have to die? But I'm at my end. I can't deal with this anymore. I mean, I'm terrified when I go to work. I'm terrified coming home that I'm going to find my wife in a pool of blood, or my son in a pool, or both of them in a pool of blood, or my son's going to knock my wife out and going to wander off because he's an 11-year-old as his kid. He doesn't know to not leave. So what happens when my son wanders out into traffic because there's nobody here to watch him because he's knocked my wife out? Everybody's terribly, terribly sorry about what we're going through. Well, you know what? Sorry doesn't do fuck all. Help would do something. We need help. We desperately need help. But the sad reality is, there's no help to be had. So we can spend a couple more years on waiting lists. Because it's at the point now where my wife is actually afraid. My wife is afraid to be alone with my son. Hell, the kid scares me at times. 220-pound man and my 11-year-old son can lift me. Okay. One of my son's favorite attack points is my thumb. He will grab my thumbs and he will bend them back as far as he can. How long until they break? If there's any help out there and anybody knows about it, please, please contact me. My son does not mean to do this. My son does not mean to be aggressive and violent and a terror, but he is. And until we get the help and the resources to actually do something about this, it's going to get worse. And it's going to keep getting worse. You know, I keep hearing about all these wonderful resources that are out there. Well, apparently that's only if you've got money. And I don't. Another case in Canada's long-standing history of fuck the poor. Because, you know, it's possible to have a job and still be poor. I make $20 an hour and I'm poor. Okay? So, once again, if somebody can help us, find a way to help us, please let me know. Because I'm at my wit's end. I got nothing left. Talk to you later.